afternoon to one and all present here. We welcome you to the ICON Best 2021, a virtual conference on built environment science and technology organized by School of Architecture and Interior Design, SRM Institute of Science and Technology. I, Professor Esther Shereen, Associate Professor, Admin Coordinator, School of Architecture and Interior Design, have the honor of hosting the conference room 3 out of 6, ICON Best 2021 on 20th February 2021, Day 1. I welcome one and all, and I'm very excited to be amongst all of you in this conference for the afternoon session. I would like to introduce our fourth speaker, Professor Keat Ong. President, Keat Ong Design, founder and design principal. Architect by training and a multidisciplinary designer by profession, Professor Keat Ong is a celebrated award-winning designer in Asia. He's the founder of Nota Design Group and Keat ONG Design, as well as the current president of the Society of Interior Designers, Singapore. Keat has been named as one of the Asia's top designers in Singapore, and he has won the Design Awards 2014 as the Designers of the Year 2016 and 17 from the Framed Interior Design magazine. He was also honored with the title of the Most Influential Designer by China's National Body of Interior Design, China Building Decoration Association, in 2017. He is also the visiting professor to numerous universities in Asia and judges too many prestigious awards internationally. Let us now proceed to Professor Keat Ong's presentation.
Hi everyone, I'm Professor Keat Ong from Singapore. I'm the current president for SIDS, Society of Interior Designers, Singapore, as well as the founder for Keat Ong Design and the design director and founder for Nota Design. And I'm also the adjunct professors for 6 universities in Asia, including China Academy of Art, Jinan University, and so on. And of course, I'm very proud and honored to be part of ICON Best 2021 this year. Today's topic will be Injecting Architecture. This is actually the title of the book that I'm preparing to launch. In fact, what is injecting architecture? In short, I call it INJAR. It's about how we apply the principle, the philosophy, the methodology of architecture into interior spaces. And in fact, what prompted me to go into research for this subject is that through my many years of teaching, I realized a lot of students are still approaching interior design in a very two-dimensional mindset. So this methodology that I'm devising will bring my audience into the three-dimensional realm within an interior space very quickly by applying some of the techniques that I came up with. Okay, first let's go back to the 101 of it, which is the creation of forms. And as many of us have gone through proper training in spatial design, we realize that the most basic of forms are planes and volumes. Well, I believe there are 3 basic types for creation of forms. First of all, of course, is the birth of a new form in an interior space. Secondly is to make use of existing surface or surfaces to perceive them as a form in the interior space. And the other one, of course, is the projection of form, which is a non-tactile method of introducing form using visual means. Right, and form, space, and time. These are three important elements that are always interplaying with each other. And in fact, from this diagram, you could see that where the human being is in, the space itself is formulated by 6 other different forms which created that volume that he's in. And also we can introduce new forms into an existing interior space. And of course, I think time is another factor whereby with the passage of time, the form could take on a different meaning or a different utility as the time passes within a given space. And I talk about the interactions between forms as well, and of course one of the interactions is intersection between two different forms, and then there are intertwining of the forms as well, as you can see from the diagram, and there are also forms tagging on one another. So these are simpler way of interaction between two sets of volumes or two forms. And then they dissect. In this diagram, it portrays the kind of perception that the form has been cut into half. So this can be done via quite a few techniques or method, whereby we wrap the forms with the similar outer shell, and then to give a perception of the inner plane on both sides to become the inner surface, or rather the cut away surfaces of that and whole entity. And of course, I think there are also forms that are lined up in series, so this technique can apply to forms of similar visual characteristic, whereby we lay them in a set of or in a series. And then they are adjacent, meaning that two forms that are within that same view cone that has no similarity between one another other than being next to each other. So that's the adjacent method. Of course, I think when we are approaching this injecting architecture methodology, I always like to question the designer whether the intention of it is it as a parasite to the existing environment, or is it another similar word which I invented, which is paracitizen, very similar in term pronunciation with parasitism. So the parasitism actually means to coexist in a symbiotic way, and of course I think we can see from the analogy here, or the example here. So this is the tapeworm in the intestine of a human being. So obviously this is not good, because these are parasites that will give harm to the human body eventually. And of course the picture below shows the earthworm intertwining in the soil, which helps to loosen up the soil and preparing them for better fertilization. So in our technique, we aim for the latter, like the earthworm. Okay, the inject methodology, I divided them into 6 categories. The diagram on the top right helps you visualize the methodology better. Of course, the first method is called intrusion. So as you can see from that simple diagram on the top right, where the worm tries to crawl inside the volume with half the body hanging out. So if we refer to the diagram below, it's similar, and this can happen say on an opaque surface or on a transparent surface, like what you see here in the diagram, glass where there can be an object or volume that has a continuous a flow outside the building, from the inside, or the other way around, vice versa. So there's a continuity of injection of one volume into the existing space itself. So this is what we call intrusion, or rather a perceived intrusion. And in fact, if we look at this the diagram of the space here, if this is an opaque wall, the outside portion of it may or may not actually exist, but we can give people a perception that this volume, the wooden part of this volume, is there's a continuation from the outside to the inside, but with the fact that there isn't anything on the outside, but it's just a perceived intrusion of this volume injecting into that space itself. So this is what we call the intrusion method. And then the complementary method, as we can see from the diagram, in fact, the volume that was injected into this interior space act as a complementary aesthetic for the whole interior space and the architecture itself, if we were to see this from the outside. Yeah, so these are curtain walls. So this will happen usually on a clear curtain walling system, or rather even if this is a covered sheltered area in an architecture or in a building, the internal injected form will act as a complementary aesthetics to the whole entire external facade. So this is the complementary method. And then third method is the division. So divisional method, as we can see from this diagram, the volume that was injected actually helps to divide this entire space into 3 different sets of spaces. So technically, if this is a wall instead of a volume that was injected, you would have turned this space into 2 separate spaces, but in this case, the injected architecture is a volume itself. So this is the center piece become a volume by itself, and dividing the whole entire space into 2 other different type of spaces. So this is division method, which is quite easy to understand, and we can see from the diagram here, the worm is dividing the whole space into 2. Okay, then on the contrary, to the divisional method, which is a physical division, this is the sculpture method, which as we can see from the diagram, the injected volume sits nicely at a corner of the entire space, not affecting the dynamics of the whole space itself, but just settling nicely there, at a corner, like a sculpture. So that's why we call this a sculpture method. So things like this, example of these are big shopping centers with you designing that nice cafe with its internal facade, everything facing the interior of the shopping center, but the shopping center is very big. So your cafe or shops that you injected could be something that's sitting right at the corner of the whole entire shopping center, which has no aesthetic link to the rest of the shopping center design, the public spaces. So yours is a unique sculpture that you introduce into the shopping center. So this is what we call the sculpture method. Okay, then fragmentation, as we can see from the diagram here, objects of similar aesthetics or style are scattered on different parts of the interior. So but each serving a different function. Like for example, this mezzanine office are sitting nicely on the side of the wall, and then another mezzanine office sitting at a corner, and then the light fixture being here, and then the front counter with the public benches, all scattered, but all shares similar design cue. Thus they are linked visually, but they are all not really touching each other in a sense. So these are all scattered, and that's what we call the fragmentation method. So example of this, it could be another very big museum space whereby we introduce a few new volumes into the entire big public spaces, whereby they share similar design aesthetics and cue or styles or stylistic quality, you know, but so visually they are all linked using similar type of techniques or similar usage of materials. So these are fragmentation method, whereby we introduce a family of volumes into another space. Okay, then there are, last but not least, the compressed method. So as we can see from the diagram, volumes of different qualities are interacting with each other, intertwining, intersecting, you know, around each other, creating a compressed injected sets of volumes. And we can see from the diagram here, you know, worms of different styles and different types are intertwined and mangled together with each other. So this is what we call the compressed method. And of course, I think in the injecting architecture methodology, we have sequenced how the methodology can be applied to a given space. But because of the time limit today, I won't go in depth into it. So basically, these are the flow chart, how we get eventually to the type of injecting architecture. So in another words, there could be a few methodology all applied to the a given space at once. So you can be injecting not just one using one methodology, but you can have a few different type of methodology that are introduced into a common space. And in fact, what we call a family of volumes, so which means that a volume sets that are sharing the similar aesthetic or spatial quality, you know, those we can divide as a single family. So we could introduce a few different types of families into a given space, depending on the size and complexity of the space they are dealing with. Okay, I think without further ado, I have brought along two projects to share, and these are two smaller projects so that it can be easily understood in terms of the application. Okay, first I touch on one of our workspaces that we have worked on. So this is my office in Kunming, China, and this is about 600 square meter, and this area is a typical building material market in China, and we are occupying the part of the first story and the whole of the second story of this block of the market. Yeah, so in fact, the market itself is very messy. You have signage of different colors and different sizes, you know, so it's very eclectic, but of course it has its charm, you know. It has this very organic attraction for people who like you know, the bustling effect of a building material market. But I think in terms of aesthetic, we are trying to stand out, you know, in that very busy environment. So somehow we use something quite simple and but articulated though. So this part of the office, as you can see from my cursor, this is my actual working office, and the other side of it further down, this is my showrooms area. Yeah, so, and this part of it, this is the entrance and my garage and the entry to my office as well. Yeah, so as you can see from this external facade, we are trying to float ourselves among the whole bustling street of loud signages and colors and lightings and all the mess that we are in. So we are trying to still stand out using minimal means. So we actually go backwards by not trying to be even more busy. So we go minimal, you know, in order to stand out among the pockets of messiness, you know, in this area. So we use a simple material like natural wood, natural hardwood was used here, and these are all smaller pieces, and as you can see, these are small batons that form the whole trellis system for my office. And on the entrance structure, we have cut out square cutout of leftover woods from factories, you know, to form the whole covering of the my entry. And in fact, it gives it a very nice handicraft quality to the entrance structure. And then this we use elongated leftover pieces from factory as well, you know, to form the facade of the showroom area. Okay, and this is the interior on the second story, and this is the reception area. Okay, I think it will be clearer if we look at the plan here. Okay, at the bottom. Okay, let me enlarge this. Okay, so as we move up the stairs from the ground floor, we reach the second story, and from the picture, this is where it's showing the reception area. And of course, below we enter through the nice large pivot door, which we see from the facade picture just now. And this is my car garage, and that leads us up the stairs to the second story. And I have a retractable the reception area that can be tucked in nicely when reception person is not around, and when person is up for work, this volume can extend outwards. And with the next picture, we can see clearly how we divide up the volumes. Okay, let's start from the ground floor first. Okay, so this is the green color area, the coded area. This is one volume, and then the other volume is injected here, you know, the purple color part of it, and this is continued. This whole area is expressed as one volume that extend itself to the ground floor, which forms part of the stairwell as well, you know, leading up. So this is one volume that we express, and because these are all well gridded columns and structure, so we make use of the columns to our advantage rather than to see it as an obstruction, right? And in fact, in this volume that we injected, we created a conference room out of it with another pivot door here, which you can see picture later on. And this, the other side of it, we created an opening which is also part of this whole volume, you know, to be the gym and entertainment area. So this part is left open, so meaning this volume, the whole external wall of this volume are all expressed as one material, you know, which continue down here. Okay, then the rest, like these are the cabinet system housing my workstations. So these become cabinet system and storage system for all the drawings and other stuff that are required, like instrument equipments and so on. And the volume continues here, and this act as a smaller discussion area, and this is my material library with a discussion table as well. and this is the showcase, which is facing the reception area where the guests will first be channeled to. Okay, then on the other side, as we mentioned earlier, this reception counter is retractable, so it can be tucked in with the chair hidden inside as one volume, and this acts as the intruded volume into the my director's office itself. So this is my personal office, and this is one volume that is protruded from the plane here. Yeah, and rest of the furniture, these are the lime green color represent the fragmented injection that we mentioned earlier. So you see, they are not touching each other. This cabinet here, which wraps around the column, and this cabinet. So these are all scattered around the whole entire office, and most of them are linked visually. So they are all using the same material. So this is what we call the fragmentation method, right? And the volume that we mentioned here, the purple color, so these are divisional method, because this volume breaks up the entire space into a few different pockets, right? Okay, then moving on, this staircase leads us up to the mid-floor toilets, which is tucked nicely here. So this we use the we express this toilet area as another volume, so meaning here we use another wall covering, right? Similar to my personal office here. So this is like one set of volumes that are injected. Okay, here from the picture we could see these are the stairs leading up from the garage. The garage is here, so you can see from the cursor, and this is the entry to the building. So this leads us up the stairs and then continue from here, which is here, leading us up to the toilet area. Right, so these are the sets of stairs leading from downstairs to upstairs. And you can see from the material, if you can see from the picture here, so these are the square leftover hardwood that I was mentioning, that was used to clad the entry structure to the office. And the next picture shows my personal office, and of course when I mentioned the fragmented volumes that were injected throughout the whole office, this is one of them, which forms part of my cabinet system and TV wall, as well as my back cabinet system. And you can see a clearer picture here. So these are all expressed as a fragmented volume. As you can see, they're not touching each other, but they're linked visually, and this leads us out to the outside, the display cabinet, which is also part of the fragmented volumes that were introduced, the family of volumes that were introduced, right? And then the back wall here. So you see, these are outside my office, these are inside my office, but they are all linked by using the same material that are scattered across the entire office. And this is the if you can zoom in here, yeah, this is the reception counter that are retractable. So you can see from the bottom picture, when the receptionist or my personal assistant are not around, the table can be tucked in with the door closed. So this is expressed as a nice volume, instead of seeing a empty vacant reception table there with nobody, right? So this can be expressed nicely as a volume that were protruded from my office, right? And when the reception is around, the cabinet can be pulled out, or rather the table can be pulled out with her sitting inside. All right, and the last pictures, this shows the conference room. So this is the conference room with the pivot door. Yeah, so this is the outer skin that you will see throughout, even to the end. This is the other side of this. here is our entertainment area, where the billiard table as well as the exercise machines are, right? So we use this technique to wrap around to indicate a similar family or similar volume. Yeah, you can see from here. So this is the one in purple we saw just now, the purple coded one. So this is the divisional volume that are dividing up the whole entire big space into different pockets, right? And this is the workstations area, right? So you can see from this picture that the entire volume, or rather the entire space, is divided up, is cut out by this volume. So we use strip lightings, right, to carve out the volumes that we want to express, so it become more apparent. And this is opposed to the other side with the fragmented black color volumes that were scattered throughout the whole entire office. Yeah, this is the divisional volume. So using a different material to differentiate the different families of volumes. Right, then the next space that I'll be touching on, it's my home itself in Singapore. So this is done 10 years ago, but I think it's still meaningful to show the audience how I carve up my internal dwelling space. Okay, this is situated in almost the center of Singapore, in one of the more serene and tranquil district. Yeah, so it's a terrace house. It's an intermediate terrace. So this is a 50-year-old, in fact till now it's about 60-year-old house. We leave most of the structure intact, but with some internal modification. So we did tear down quite a bit of the wall inside to extend the living spaces. So this is the facade, the front facade of the house, and you could see from the section. Okay, what happened is it used to be a full solid wall here. So this used to be the front garage. So we decided, because this house is located in a cul-de-sac, so somehow we can park our car outside the house without interrupting with the traffic. Yeah, so we decided to extend the living space outwards, so turning the car garage into a patio. So the next challenge is of course to extend the livable space, the narrow space, into a much pleasant livable space. And we decided to hack the wall away. You know, they are dividing the living and the garage into very big glass, about 3.6 meter high glass pivot doors here, and this actually opens up the whole living space. And at the same time, we took away the flat ceiling that were here, which makes the whole entire space quite small, and instead of creating a mezzanine level, which we could because the ceiling is very high, about 6.5 to the apex, we decided to just extend the roof upwards without any more without creating any more mezzanine floors at all, right? So this actually give us a straight away very big space, despite being still quite narrow. And from here, this is our dining area. So somehow what we are trying to create is a livable tropical space without the heavy reliance on mechanical means, meaning we don't need to on the air cons throughout the whole years, right? So there's ceiling fans here and here as well, so air flows through the patio, through the trellises that we created, you know, and up the air well behind the dining itself. Okay, so In fact, if you look at the picture here, these are the 50-year-old balau wood batons. These were the ceiling batons, 50 by 100 mm, so very big batons that were used before. So we didn't want to throw away with such a big waste, so we turned the batons into our trellis, which forms the nice characteristic facade that we have. So if we look at the this is the front entrance, the former garage turned patio. So we can see from the picture here. So this is the new deck up area that we created to form an extension to the living room. So they are all level up. We fill up the bottom to level with the living room tiles, right? And instead of having the wall here with a small door, we hack away the entire wall to create a very big glass surface. So we use pivot door, glass pivot door, to form the entrance to a formal entrance to the living room itself. And what you see here, this is a full height in fact it's a full height hidden shoe cabinet, so you don't see any extra bits of furniture hanging out in the middle of nowhere. So we turn this into a recessed shoe cabinet, which forms a very nice feature wall. So what's protruding here is the existing window, which we kind of emphasize, you know, as a sculptural form that was protruded from inside, you know, to the outside. And this forms the window and the nice you know, protrusion from the children's room. Okay, we can look at the plan. So this is the ground floor plan leading up to the attic office, or rather this is not an attic. In fact, this is a second story for the back block itself. Okay, if we were to overlay the inject colors, okay, we can see from here we wanted to express the bedroom as one volume by itself with the protrusion window, yeah, as part of the volume expression, you know, of this room itself. And then we have the whole entire wall, you know, as a volume. So this looks like it's a protruded volume from from the neighboring side, protruding into our living room, expressing itself as a part of the volume, right? And then we see the fragmented families again. So these are expressed by the kitchen cabinet system to the dividing cabinet system here. So this dividing cabinet system also forms the wall to both sides, to the kitchen as well as to the stairs leading up to the home office upstairs, right? And the same fragmentation method of family is carried through to the living room feature wall. And then we have protrusion of the volumes from the cabinet system as well, or from the display shelf system. There are volumes that are projected. So there are two sets of different volumes interacting with each other at this point here, right, at the living room feature wall. And the whole study is expressed as a floating volume, and part of it can be seen above the kitchen, which we'll see from the photo later. From picture here, we could see this is the living room feature wall with the two giant 3.6 meter high pivot glass door, which eliminate the whole entire solid wall altogether. So now the whole living space become very airy. You can see this is not very wide. This is about 3.6 wide, so it's quite narrow for a living room. But in fact, with all this new implementation, the whole living room now seems very airy, and in fact people can stay here for very, very long time, in fact for a whole day, you know, without feeling claustrophobic. Right? And when we say the feature wall having two sets of volume earlier. So this is what it is, you know. So these are expressed as protruded volume. So one of the volume actually conceal partially our wall hung aircon, and then the other few act as a display shelf for our artifacts, and then one as the TV cabinet or console, right? And then the rest are the skeletal display shelf system, which actually wraps around the doorway very nicely, as if it was a deliberate attempt to have the doors there, right? In fact, this helped us save a lot of cost of shifting the structure or the openings, right, by having clever concealment, right? And then we have a second set of pivot door at the between the living and the dining area here, so air flows very smoothly from the front, from the patio, all the way to the back of the house. So here we can see from this picture, it's even clearer here, you know, from the front to the back is a whole through space. So, and we have a air well on the side here, so air actually travels through the house. So this tropical house doesn't really need the aircon, so the aircon is there simply as a precautionary when we have guests over, right? And below here, these are the dining area. Yeah, so this overlooks the whole living area, and on this side of it, this leads us up to the home office. And when I mentioned earlier on the dividing wall that divides the stairs and the kitchen, these are the divisional volumes that we introduced that actually house a nice hidden cabinet and storage cabinet inside. Here from the kitchen, we can see that there are two different family of volumes. So this volume, this is from the our home office. So this home office is designed in such a way that it looks like it floats above the kitchen. In fact, these are just by clever changing of the material to create a volume that are different from the rest. So instead of just finishing this as part of the wall of the kitchen, we express this as a protrusion of volumes, you know, from upstairs. So this volume is injected from the outside to the inside of the house, you know, and in fact this cleverly conceal the office, the home office window that are inward facing. And then these kitchen cabinets are expressed as a separate family of volume from the home office facade itself, right? And here is another angle to look at the kitchen area, and here we see the stairwell leading up to the home office along the dividing wall. And this is the interior of the home office. So we are using raw plywood as the outside, as the external, as well as the internal. So it's all expressed using the same material, so people has a sense of place when they are moving along the house, right? And this last sets of photos shows the master bedroom, which is facing the air well. So this is the master bedroom itself, and for air well, in fact, there was previously just a small door opening up to the air well, but we decided to hack the entire wall to create a nice connection between the interior and the partial exterior. You know, this is an open to sky air well, and of course I draw my own wall mural here, which I designed, you know, on the air well itself. So on the air well wall, so this acts as a protector of the air well. And back of the house, I have some integrating graphics that are hand drawn onto the wall as well, to create some form of point of interest as well. And front of the house, I park my car, and back of the house, I park my motorbike, which I love dearly. Yep. as a hobby. Yeah, so this is how it looks like when the gates are closed, right? So this is the front of the house. Okay, I think with that I would like to conclude the lecture today, and these are three of the QR code that leads to the society here, and then to my own KOD, which is Keat Ong Design, and then this leads to my LinkedIn pages. So if you're interested, you may, and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Keat Ong, for your insightful presentation, and I'm certain that the audience would have found it to be a very informative presentation. Now we shall take a short break for a sponsor video, post which we shall proceed to our next speaker, Fahad Sohail Abbas.
Ultratech Decor, concrete for durable aesthetic landscapes. Ultratech Decor is a patterned or imprinted concrete available in variety of shades and patterns. Benefits to the end consumer. First, available in unlimited designs, textures, patterns and colors. Thus, the customer has a variety to choose from. Second, since the product is integrated with concrete itself, the life is about 3 to 5 times longer than the traditional solutions like pavers and tiles. Third, low maintenance cost as repeated repairs are not required. Fourth, it is manufactured by using UV-resistant color hardener, which retains the true shades of the color for long. Fifth, along with good appearance, the product also gives skid and abrasion resistance, thus useful for application in areas of high traffic or areas where kids, elders, patients access frequently. Sixth, faster work as it enables speedy construction. Benefits to the applicator and technical influencer. First, enables speedy construction, so applicators can finish faster and take other projects. Second, low after-sales service as it has monolithic, which do not allow grass to grow through gaps. Third, contractor need not worry about performance as it is manufactured by using UV-resistant color. Let's learn about its application process. The concrete shall be laid on a properly prepared non-porous surface. Ultratech Decor is delivered to sites in transit mixers of 5 to 6 cubic meter capacity. At site, after laying and leveling of concrete on the required floors, the designated Ultratech applicators sprinkle color hardeners on top of the wet concrete surface. After sprinkling of hardeners, the concrete surface is troweled to ensure uniform monolithic coloring of the floors. Thereafter, the concrete surface is imprinted as per selected design using stamping mats. After hardening of concrete, joint cutting. At appropriate interval after hardening of concrete, joints are cut at designated distances, and sealing is done to ensure crack-free and properly protected aesthetic Ultratech Decor. Ultratech FireSafe helps in passive fire protection with its carefully chosen mixed constituents which can withstand high elevated temperatures. Central Building Research Institute CBRI Roorkee has certified Ultratech FireSafe with 2 hours fire rating to the system when tested in accordance with IS 3809 1970, reaffirmed 2002. Benefits to the end customer. First, low use of energy as concrete does not require mechanical vibrator, thus it saves cost. Second, it has excellent insulating from electrical, HT, and LT cable. Duct sand gives extra life to the structure. Third, since it is lightweight, it results in considerable saving from the footings through the structural steel. Fourth, it helps in controlling the fire spread and its effect by providing sufficient fire resistance to prevent loss of structural stability within the prescribed time period of 2 hours or more. Thus, it gives enough time for the customer to evacuate and call for help in case of fire. Benefits to the applicator and technical influencer. First, Ultratech FireSafe concrete can be applied over a variety of bases, allowing architects and engineers ample flexibility in their design criteria. Second, this concrete is used for fire insulation of multiple products such as electrical, HT, and LT cable ducts. Third, the application process is easy since it's a ready-to-use and easy-to-place product. Fourth, it is easily portable due to 40% lighter than normal concrete. Ultratech FireSafe is a vermiculite-based concrete designed for passive fire protection. It is delivered at site in the form of wet mix in buckets. This concrete is used to seal the cable ducts at floor levels. Before arrival of concrete at the site, formwork arrangements should be in place as per recommended procedure. This formwork is normally made out of plywood and bison board. The concrete shall be poured over these boards, which are fastened at the floor level. Concrete shall be laid in layer of minimum 100 mm thickness. After leveling and finishing the concrete, it shall be covered with tarpaulin sheets in order to prevent any cracking.